everyone. So once again, welcome to Chit Chat with Ex-Transgender Pastor. So as usual, most of you know me. I am Reverend Edmund Smith, the ex-transgender pastor, and today I have a very special guest. As you can see in the frame, Jessica Gill. It's someone I just got to know. Actually, I was watching the latest episode in Middle Ground by Jubilee. And I went there actually because, Jessica, I'm a fan of Blair White. Been following her for many years. So she has been telling us the show is going to come up. She has been, just announcing and announcing. So I was like just anticipating the show. And when I was there and I saw you, I said, wow, such a pleasant person. You have such a beautiful presence. Even though you didn't say so much in the show, I'm not sure how it was in the actual recording, but you were such a pleasant person. You were peaceful, and I just love it. I told myself I need to reach out to her. I need to get to know her. So that's how I ended up reaching out to you. So Jessica, can you just introduce yourself to the audience? Just tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, well, yeah, we could talk about the podcast too, but yeah, it was a little, I was nervous going in, but, my name is Jessica Gill. That's my full name. I'm 48 years old, gonna be 49 here coming up at the beginning of the year. So I guess not looking forward to that, but Father Time has, no remorse. He goes, you can't stop it. So,
So which
not
which which part of the globe are you from? Can you tell us?
The southwest region of North America, so Arizona, Nevada, and I've lived in Colorado. When I lived in Colorado, that was when I pursued my athletic career for the most part. That's where I was competing in sports as a professional athlete. I was always involved in sports before I transitioned, obviously. Since I'm a late transitioner, I've been on hormones for about 8 years now, I think. And like I said, I've always been athletic, but I was only professional, like paid to be athletic from say like the age of 26 till about 32. I retired from racing completely at 40. So now I ride not competitively, but in like, what do they call it? Grassroots leagues or just non-competitive, but
Okay.
nonetheless, it's competing still in sports.
So when you
So
say you race and you ride, can you elaborate what vehicle is that? Is that a car or bicycle?
my new race bike right there in the background, my motorcycle.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
That's
All
what I
right.
raced. But when I was younger, growing up through all my life, I've ridden dirt bikes, so off road. So I was a professional motocross racer for, I think my professional career was only maybe 8 years, but I've been riding dirt bikes, racing all my life. So that's where I thought the Jubilee podcast was going, was hopefully we were going to talk about sports. And that was my goal because everybody knows me, and I'm not that popular. Being on the show with Blair White has helped tremendously. I've always followed her, and we've chatted a bit in the past, like through messengers. But having her on the show was amazing. But like I said, I've always been a sports advocate for protecting women's sports against people like me.
Amazing. Which is actually totally the opposite of what's happening today. Where women's spaces in sports arena is being intruded by trans women, and I think like by the little research I did on you, you actually fight for women's rights instead of trans women's rights. So that's unique, and that's like wow, that's unbelievable, and I'm so proud of you for even doing that. And can you like share with us how you ended up in that zone, as a trans woman, how you ended up supporting women's rights instead of trans women's rights as a lot of liberals are doing it today. How did that happen? I mean, can you share with us?
Yeah, of course. I, gosh, how did it start? That is a very good question. I guess just my athletic background and when I retired from motocross racing at 40, I picked up mountain biking because I had a severe crash that almost ended my life. I had 4 broken ribs, punctured lung, a collapsed lung, broken shoulder blade, broken collarbone. I was a mess. I was 2 weeks in the trauma unit, and I retired from the motorsports side of things and picked up mountain biking. And so moving to Nevada, Las Vegas, I started, racing with mountain biking, and I had already transitioned at the time, and I had female friends, and I just wanted to say too, throughout this conversation, anytime I say female or woman, I do mean biological. I don't feel I need to say that 3-letter word starting with a C that I hate. I don't believe it should exist. So I am talking about biological females, women, adult human females, anything. If I'm talking about a trans person, I will say trans. So, but off on that tyrant, that's my rant for the day. I'm just kidding. So yeah, I started racing, and all my female friends were like, "Hey, Jess, you should race in our group." And I'm like, maybe, maybe not. And I was like, no, I'll just race with the guys, and wasn't that big a deal. I mean, being on hormones, I get my butt kicked out there on the track. Like I have nothing for those guys, Sorry. I hate even saying that because I don't want to give the liberals any ammunition as to why trans athletes should be competing in women's sports, So I try not to say that part too loud, but yeah, I don't do very well in the men's division, but I still have fun. It's still a challenge. And that's what sports about, challenging. It's not about cheating. That's why they have rules. So I guess just watching the local mountain bike racing, and we didn't have anybody, 5, 6 years ago doing this, what's going on right now in the women's sports division. So it wasn't a big deal, but it made me think with my girlfriends all asking me to race with them, and I was like, that's not fair. We practiced riding, we practiced the trails, and the girls would be like, "So what's the difference now?" I'm telling all my friends about what's it like to transition and taking these hormones and how it affects me, and and they all like me, they all adore me, they're my friends. I don't really have a lot of trans friends. It's mostly biological women that I hang out with. So and the average is about 12%. There's a 12% strength difference between men and women, just flat. That's not even at the elite level. That's just an average, citizen level. So knowing that, and then a lot of the girls that I ride with, they're 8 to 10 years younger than me, some 40, almost 49, and they're in their low 40s, high 30s. And just I can out pedal them up the hill all day. And, they're asking me to race with them. And I was like, this isn't right. And then it just started popping up on my Facebook feeds, my Instagram. The other trans athletes were like, hey, look at this award I won. And I was like, wait a minute, did you race in the girls class? Like, it just, and then when Leah Thomas thing,
Yeah.
when that happened, I reached out to Riley first. I was one of the first people to touch base with her. And since then, our relationship has grown immensely. Like we can text each other the middle of the night, doesn't matter, Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, it doesn't matter. I can ask her a question, she can ask me a question. And it's just, I got lucky being her friend because I reached out first. Immediately, I was like, hey, girl, don't stand for this. Don't let the media get you down. Don't let anybody tell you you're doing the wrong thing. And ever since then, we've just been friends. And once, me and Riley kind of like started talking, we met here in Las Vegas a few times, and I took off from there.
I think it's vice versa when you said that she got lucky, you got lucky getting to know her. I think it's vice versa. She's blessed to know you. And then she gets to see the other side that not all trans people are the same, as Leah Thomas. So praise God for that. You mentioned that you transitioned on the later age. So how old were you when you began your transitioning?
I guess you would say so. Yeah, more about me. I guess it gets complicated because we have the new generation that's saying I was born in the wrong body, blah blah blah, and I think it's more than that. To me, it's mind and body. They say mind over matter, right? So, growing up as a kid even in high school, I remember, and my mom can vouch for this on this part, but I remember sitting in the back of my race van, staring out at the motocross track, watching the guys race. Uh, I always wanted to be the girl out there, and I don't know why. I couldn't figure it out back then, and I look back now, and I know why. Obviously, look at me now. But I always thought it would just be so cool to be a girl, but be competing in sports against sports. I don't know what's wrong with me, but that's how I thought. I was like, this would be cool. What if I was a chick? Or what if there was a girl out there at this level of competition and whooping up the dudes? Like, wouldn't that be so cool? So that was always a dream of mine. And
Sorry, how old were you then when those thoughts came into your mind?
this was back when I was 18, 19, 20
Okay.
years old. So I knew it back then. I just didn't have the resources. This was back in, 1990, 1989, so I didn't start to transition. I didn't, do my social transition period was from, say, like the age of 34, 36 years old, and on up through 40 before I could finally align myself with a job and a career that would accept me. And 8 years ago, it wasn't like I could walk in and go, I'm trans, you got to hire me. I had to think about it. I gave up a lot in my life. And people say, oh, you shouldn't have to, you should have sued them. I gave up a 6-digit job, and, to transition, I knew I would lose that job once I transitioned. So I had to get myself a little bit financially stable before I could do that. But this is why, another reason why it took me so long. I had to put mortgage and money in life, and I had a lot of financial burden I had to think about, and I couldn't just abandon it. That I had people depending on me, and I wasn't about to walk away from those responsibilities just to be the narcissistic self that most trans people are. I hated myself. I was angry all the time. I was just mad at the world, 100%. Even through high school, I had a good time in high school. I enjoyed hanging out with my friends and doing sports, but I was mad at the world. I wasn't happy with who I was because I know when I looked in the mirror every day, I hated what I saw. As a boy, I hated myself. Couldn't stand it. Didn't know why. Couldn't put it together that I might be, in the wrong mindset, the wrong body set. And I just literally couldn't see myself being with somebody else, and finding another mate seemed important to me because the society said so. Look.
You mentioned a minute ago that you hated yourself and you saw yourself in the mirror, and I can resonate with that. I'm not sure how much you know about me. I was trans. I struggled with the gender dysphoria. I'm actually going to show you a picture of me as a girl. So mine's the other way. I did transition. Okay, I did not go through any surgery, gender reassignment surgeries, and all that. I transitioned socially. So but let's have a look. My
Yeah,
producer will just show you the picture. So that's me in the past as a girl.
you're
Yeah,
beautiful. Oh, so
that's me.
beautiful.
Yeah, in my 20s.
Look at
So
your
I was trans I until I was 21 years old, so I knew that I actually was different, born in the wrong body, as they put it. I can understand all that, and I basically this is how I actually describe myself in the past. I have a female soul. I put it that way, in a male body but female soul. So I totally get it. And for me, like, long story short, I mean, it's not my religion or whatsoever that caused me to walk away from the transgender lifestyle or transsexual lifestyle, however you want to put it. But it's because of my first boyfriend. So I had my first boyfriend, and prior to him, I was involved with men. I've been involved with men since I was 13 years old. Sexually, I was promiscuous. I was just sleeping around, and I was actually looking for love. And the reason for that would be my father never loved me. Yeah, so I come from a family where I have three older brothers, and parents were happy having the three sons. But when the fourth pregnancy came, they said, "This have to be a girl. This have to be a girl." So and I was born, and they were both devastated. They
Oh
were both
no.
devastated. Yeah, and I never had a relationship with my father all my life. He passed away, in 2001. And my mother, on the other hand, allowed me to be the girl that I wanted to be. So it's very complicated. So by the time I was 4, I began to live as a girl, and my mom allowed me. I transitioned socially at 4 years old. And that time, I'm older than you. I'm 53 years old.
Okay.
So I transitioned socially in the early 70s, I would say. Yeah, early 70s. Yeah.
So it's not fair. You're older than me. You look 7 years younger than me. This is not cool. Like, see what I deal with? Like, I'm so old. Huh.
No, you're not. You look fine. You look fine. You don't look old. It's just that I think that this Asian genes, we tend to look younger. It's an Asian thing. Yeah, by the way, I'm Eurasian, to be specific. My dad is European. My mom is Asian. So we call ourselves legally on our birth certs Eurasian. I'm not sure if you heard that word before. Yeah.
Yeah, not race on some charts of, things I filled out. Yeah, for sure. No, I just want to say that your jawline, as when that picture I just saw, so feminine. Oh my God, beautiful. Just amazing. I wish I had that curvature. That's so beautiful. Perfect.
Yeah, that's when I was in my 20s. So, but then again, I don't regret the transitioning, if you like. And yeah, I love being a man. I mean, we all have a different story, but I understand gender dysphoria. I get it. And a lot of transgenders will say the only way to overcome gender dysphoria is through transitioning, but I have to disagree because that's not my experience. I struggle with a severe gender dysphoria. I mean, I respect people's story and all that. But anyone would tell me that the only way to overcome, I heard Blair White put it this way. She said that transitioning is not the only way to resolve gender dysphoria. Unlike a lot of transgenders, they will say that it's the only way. Now I'm one of those. I didn't, I was at the verge of going to Thailand for my transition. But when I met my boyfriend at 18, and one of the reasons why transitioning surgically didn't take place because he was bisexual. And
Mm.
because he was bisexual, he embraced me as a trans woman. He embraced me, my masculinity. He embraced my femininity. And for me, it was all about finding my Mr. Right because in replacement to what my father did not give me. So my story leans a lot towards that. So my father never touched me, and I wanted him to touch me in the right ways. And the thing is this: after me, my mother got pregnant again with a fifth child, and guess what? My sister was born. And I watched. Yeah, it sounds funny, but it wasn't when I was a kid. I watched my parents give my sister everything that I knew was mine: the touch and the hugs and the kisses and the love. I knew it. So by them doing that, it confirmed with me in my little child mind that I'm born in the wrong body. That should have been me. If only I'm a girl, that all that she is getting would be mine. You know what I'm saying? How crazy the mind works. So, and that's how I ended up having sex with boys and men by the time I was 13. 13 years of age, I should be HIV positive by now because I had lots of unprotected sex, but I praise God that I'm not. God protected me. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my story. So I'm just long story short. I totally get what it means to be trans. I know I was a real trans. I'm not. Some people say you were never trans. If you can be who you are today, speaking about me, as though they know me better than I know me, ridiculous. I knew I was trans. I was trans as trans can be. It's like not I was not lesser of a trans, but the thing is that, yeah, I've moved away from that. Totally happy. I'm not unhappy. I don't want to be, I still want to be beautiful, but I want to be a beautiful man, not a beautiful woman anymore. So the mind has changed. And it's all related, as I said a minute ago, related to my relationship with my first boyfriend. For the first time ever, I tasted love from a man. Even all the sex in the past, because that was sex. That was not love. Love is not sex, and sex is not love. When I was 18, I met Steven, my first boyfriend. He's a bisexual. I've never met a bisexual person prior to him. And he just embraced me for who I am, my masculinity, my femininity, and he told me that I love you for who you are. Don't change anything about you. No surgeries needed. You don't have to hate yourself. If I can love you, you can love you. That's what he said. Of course, it took me a minute to actually come to the place of embracing. So I met him when I was 18. So it went on until when I was 21. I'm supposed, because we got to wait to be 21 to have our surgeries in Thailand, but I had to wait. So while waiting, there was Steven just loving me and just telling me how beautiful I am just the way I was. I don't have to change. And that's how I overcame my transgender identity disorder. We call it that. At that time, we didn't call it gender dysphoria. We called it transgender identity disorder. I'm not sure if you are familiar with those words.
Yeah, totally. And I don't know if it's the age group, and that's a big part of it, I think, but yeah, to me, I don't want to use the word qualify, but I wouldn't discredit you as a transgender or a transsexual person at all. Just because you didn't start taking the hormones or didn't get surgery or whatever, like it makes me so mad that there's so many. I mean, funny, like there can be gatekeeping, but not recognizing someone for who they are is pretty tough. And I wouldn't see you any other way than the way you just described. It's 100% accurate.
So much. That means a lot to me, because I get it all the time that if you can be an ex-transgender, I get it all the time, nearly every single day. And it's frustrating, it's that it means you were never trans. It means you were never trans. What? Just my family about it. They will tell you how I was trans as trans can be. Anyway, on another note, I would like to show a clip of the latest Jubilee show that you are in. Can I just do that? My producer is just going to show us a clip.
I think that oftentimes when you talk about trans people in the military, people forget that most places, if we're talking about feet on the ground and really going into war zones, are really dangerous for trans people. And so it's really an extra risk.
You're talking about the culture that exists over there.
Yeah, the Middle East, it's like that's not exactly trans-friendly. It's actually the opposite. The medications that we take sometimes put us in conflict with being able to actually be combat ready. But there is some nuance here, obviously. Like if there was a trans cook or a trans medic, I'm not exactly going to be upset. But for the most part, when it comes to combat,
I hate supporting, like what you just said. I hate supporting it because it goes to the narrative of the should athletes compete in sports, but
trans athletes?
Yeah, the drugs we take do weaken us, so we're not, like you just said, combat ready, but we're also not as physically strong as the guy counterparts standing right next to us.
And I will say, like, as a person with HIV, I was diagnosed at 18. I couldn't go into the military, because I couldn't get Biktarvy overseas.
Yeah, so I will say, as probably the only person that served in the military on this entire panel.
You should have spoke first.
It's okay. The thing about it is, I think that there is a lot of nuance in this. I actually have friends that are currently serving in the military. I think there was a lot of misrepresentation of what the trans ban actually did. You have soldiers, if you have surgeries, they go on profile, which means they can't actually do their job. They can't do PT. If you have bottom surgery, it takes a year. And so as a leader, that person's filling a position of a job of somebody that should be doing it. I don't mind somebody who is actually on hormones going there, because there's a lot of people, I mean, people take PTSD medications overseas. They actually take 6 months of medication with them. So a full-out ban I don't necessarily support, because I think that everybody in the military, as long as you can do your job, you can go in there and nobody really cares. But it is those times when, if you can't perform your job, that becomes an issue. You talk about with HIV, actually, most people don't even realize this. If you contract HIV while you're in, you can stay in a non-deployable job.
Right. And then also, you know, if we want to just get super real, you have the trans suicide rate. And if you really want to compound that by the veteran suicide rate, that's not exactly a concoction for very positive results. So I see how a trans ban could actually benefit us. And Lord knows I'm not trying to get drafted. So yeah, I'm all good with it.
So that's how I got to know Jessica, you know, and I watched that and the whole, it was exciting. And yeah, that's how we ended up having this interview now. So Jessica, can you share with us a little bit about your experience being on that show, Middle Ground? Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about that.
It's cool that you picked that clip. I forgot I spoke on that issue because being on the panel, you know, I'm now that I'm very popular now, apparently, and the big comment is you didn't say enough. And believe me, to everyone out there, if you're watching, I know I didn't say enough. I called my mom on the way home from Ventura, California, crying on the phone the whole time. Mom, I failed. I didn't do anything. I said nothing the whole time. I froze. I was so disappointed in myself for not speaking up. But I went in with the wrong mindset. I went in gung-ho, like, I'm talking about women's sports, and this is, you know, nobody's going to just, you know, because I've seen the Jubilees before I did it. So I knew what I was ready for. But I was expecting a sports topic, and it never came to fruition. So I was handcuffed, and Blair is such a strong presence in the room. You don't want to overspeak her, right? I don't. Apparently Blossom did, right? But there was nothing I felt I needed to add because Blair and Sarah had it covered. You know, I wasn't in the military. I did try when I was a kid. I wanted to be in the Air Force, and I was born deaf in my right ear. So I can't hear anything on that side of my head. And because of that, I could not get into the military, but I did try. I wanted to apply. I started in the junior ROTC thing in junior high and did all the required things. And then they didn't find out I was deaf until my high school years. And they're like, well, you can't be in the military. You're deaf in one ear. And I was like, well, nobody told me. So the military thing, I'm glad you brought me on. And that clip, the thing that I wanted to let everybody know is that I do support trans in the military. And it's much like what Sarah said, and Blair, we all agree. It's just, it was an echo chamber there. So that's why I didn't talk a lot. And it was because like everything Blair said, I was like, yeah, that's it. Like there's nothing else to say. She's right. And this is, you know, there shouldn't be any discussion after that. But yeah, I think we should have trans people in the military, whether it's a line cook or a medic or office work. Like there's tons of roles that, you know, sitting behind a desk, flying a drone, or, you know, taking pictures. But the point was that I was trying to make is the combat situations. Like I could not go fight a terrorist overseas or a Russian army kid who's 22 years old, has been running through mud and climbing up fences every day of his life. Like I am worthless to that man. And this goes back to the women in sports things. I don't like saying that out loud because it gives the liberals more ammunition to say, see, this is why trans women belong in women's sports. You're weaker, you're equal to a woman. It's like, no, I'm still stronger than a woman. I'm just not as strong as that guy standing right there with the weapons and the training that he's had. Like, I am not near that capacity anymore. I used to be. I was a very physically athletic. I mean, I was a pro athlete. So yeah, I was in shape. And, you know, the hormones just take it out of you. And there's no way my tax dollars, and this is a little snotty of me to say, but there's no way my tax dollars should be used to fund somebody's HRT and sex transition. Just they're there to defend my country. They're not there to get free surgery and free drugs. And I know that's pretty harsh because there are a lot of kids that join the military just to buy a house, or just to get money to get a car, just to get money for college. And that's the only reason they're over there. And we allow that. That's what we use as a military to drive in recruits is, hey, come serve us for 4 years and we'll pay for your college education. And now it feels like, are we telling trans people, hey, come into the military, we'll pay for your surgery? And like Sarah just said, they're out for a year. They're being paid to sit and recover in a hospital room after a trans surgery that doesn't really help defend our country. There's war going on around the world. Like we have the Palestine, Israel, we have Ukraine, Russia, China doesn't like us, North Korea. There's a lot to be worried about, in my opinion, right now out there. And if we don't have, a lot of people say we're the laughing stock now with our military being, the Air Force went super woke, right? That scares me a little bit as a taxpayer. I'm a little fearful of that because I know what it would look like if I tried to fight somebody. I know I wouldn't do very good. So I don't need that person defending my country as well. I do want them in the military. Like I said, there's computer analytics. There's thousands of job positions in the military, just not on the front line, not combat ready veterans. Like that's not what transgender people should be doing it for. So there's a nuance there, and I wanted to clear that up. So I'm glad you brought that up to me. That yes, I think trans should be in the military. I don't believe they should go in just for the transition payment. But hey, if that's the incentive we need to do to get people in the military, that's what we got to do. I just don't think I should be on the front line. That's all.
Thank you for sharing that. Jessica, how did you feel when I first reached out to you, hearing that I'm a pastor, wanting to speak with you and finding out that I'm an ex-transgender? How did that make you feel when you first received my message?
Right. To be honest, when I saw the Reverend thing, before I even clicked on it, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be one of those intervention shows. Like that's what I'm always ready for, the ambush, right? Because I've done a few podcasts that haven't made it on air. And it's been, interesting. Some people are a little bit deceitful. So honestly, I was nervous at first. I was like, I'm trying to weigh the odds. Is this legit? Is this person real? Is this going to be an ambush? Are they going to try and tell me how wrong I am? All my decisions are crazy. I'm not following their God or whatever, but yeah, so I was a little apprehensive. I was a little taken back. I was like, oh boy, and I read the messages, and you came across very sincere immediately. So I had no drawbacks, or what, I can't think of that word, but what I mean, no hesitation to do something like this. And
Thank God for that. Thank you for even, being willing to be a friend and responding to me. You're so sweet. You're such a sweet soul, and yeah, thank God for your life. Yeah. So, but you do know that in the ministry that I do, we basically journey a lot with detransitioners. We're not out here to actually, if someone wants to embrace the transgender lifestyle, the transgender identity, well, I mean, they are most welcome to attend our service on Sunday and things like that, but we do not have much in the area of journeying with them. So we do not journey with people who want to transition. So I just put it out there so that and even the audience out there. I mean, yeah, we can agree to disagree, because I believe in respecting people, especially adults, whatever choices they want to make for themselves, But our ministry, we are catering for those people like me. I'm doing for people what what others did for me when I began to walk away from the transgender identity, and which is possible. Look at me, I'm happy and all that. So just for you to know. But nevertheless, I don't love you less. I don't disrespect you. I love you for who you are, Jessica Gill. So you are a soul created by God, just like me. You're not lesser than anyone else. So this is also something that, nothing good can come out from forcing anyone just because me telling a trans woman that, hey, you got it all wrong. Is that going to change the person? No way. What's going to touch that person's life would be my prayer, my sincere prayer, my love, my friendship might do something good for that person's life. But no way, my condemnation is not going to bring any good. By forcing people, there's nothing good's going to come out of it. So that's how I do what I do. And together with my wife and my team, we have been doing this since 1999. So we have actually two different ministries, as we call it, SIMB and She and Real Love Ministry. SIMB stands for She is my brother. She is my brother. Okay, and she. And the other one is RLM, Real Love Ministry. So SIMB, She is my brother, is a training ministry. We train people so that they can understand and they can journey with those who need the kind of support that we give. RLM, on the other hand, is the ministry that journeys with people. So one is a training agency and the other one is a journeying agency, if you like. That's what I do, basically. Besides being a sign language instructor, as I told you. And coincidentally, you said you're partially deaf. So that's the reason why I say, come and join us and learn sign language. I have a master's degree in sign language for your information, So come.
I do need to learn. I need to be a responsible adult and learn this in case I lose my hearing in my left ear. Because then I'm back to lip reading, and I'm not very good at that either. So,
come and yeah, we spoke about this earlier, and I hope that you said that you will do your best to come soon. And we meet once a week, and I say exactly what you just said. Someone who is partially deaf or hard of hearing. You are at the thin line of becoming deaf, and it is harder to learn the language when you're already deaf. As a hearing person, this is my advice. As a teacher, as an instructor, now while you are still able to hear, it's a good place to come and learn the language. You'll never know. You're right. There's no such thing in hearing. In the sense of hearing, people can never get better unless you go for surgeries. Maybe you have this implant and all that. If you don't, then there is a high chance your hearing will deteriorate. That's how it is. You're going to get worse and worse, and you don't want to say when the time comes when you are totally deaf, you'll be like, I want to learn sign language. It's possible still, but it's better to do it now. Yeah, and I'm here. Maybe it's a divine appointment. The Lord, my God, has put me in your life, And I hope that with that said, I hope that we can be friends. I hope this interview and this meeting is not going to be once and that's it. When you come to Malaysia, come visit. When I go to where you are, I'll visit you. We can be friends, Jessica.
You better, if you ever do make it to Las Vegas, you better let me know. Because I will take you. I
will.
I'll take you to the nicest restaurants wherever you want to go. So, for our restaurants and our food here. I'm sure too. I don't know, but I wanted to touch back on something you just said about your school and the other the detransitioning part. Like, should I be worried that you've been able to sustain this and people have needed you since 1999? Is that correct? Like, there's been that many detransitioners up until we're in 2023 now, and it's a long stream of people detransitioning. That's what I'm hearing, right? Okay.
Yes, I work with not just with detransitioners. We work with anyone who wants to walk away, and it's their right to walk away from the LGBTQ lifestyles. Yeah, so we have ex-transgenders like me, ex-lesbians, ex-gays. I know some people don't like to hear these words, like, what? I mean, gays are born that way, but there's a lot who have walked away from the LGBTQ lifestyle, and they are living wonderful, amazing lives now. So who is anyone to judge them? They are, so yeah. So not just detransitioners, we have been working with ex-LGBTQ individuals, and we are not the agent of like going to people and say you need to change. No, we We stay put where we are. People come to us and say, "Can you please help me? I want to detransition. Oh, I want to be an ex-lesbian. I don't want to be gay anymore. Can you help me?" Then we journey with them. So we don't go after people. People come to us, and yes, you're right. We've been doing this since 1999.
That is an amazing one for you, like to keep going that long. That is awesome. Not giving up on people. That just shows your character, right? I don't know if I would have that strength in me, unless it's about women's sports and spaces. I will fight this until I die. And when I'm on my deathbed, I will still be arguing with any transgender athlete who thinks that way. So, but yeah, I did want to say that I do get tired of the, what is it? It's not maybe even stereotypes, but the, you know, I used to be serious, a serious judgy person on the lesbian and gay front. As far as what I mean by that is, if I knew a few women growing up that were lesbians from day one, and then they would meet a woman and say, "Oh, she's been married, has a kid, but now she's a lesbian." And I was always like, "She's not a lesbian." Like, so I was part of that. Like, you can't leave the LGBT. Like, you can't be an ex-gay person. Like, that's impossible. I couldn't see how somebody could live their life as a straight person and then be gay all of a sudden. And that could reflect on me too. How can I live a heterosexual life knowing I'm trans the whole time, and then all of a sudden I'm trans? Like, so people don't take me seriously. And the biggest problem with that, I think, is the age, the generation gap. We have Gen Z, Millennials, X, that's me, Gen X, and Boomers. So millennials tolerate me, but they always suspect that I'm not genuine. Gen Z disregards my transition completely. They don't think I'm trans at all. They something else. They call me transphobic. They call me Nazi, bootlegger. You name it, I've been called it, right? Karen, because of my stupid hair. But yeah, I get the Karen all the time. It's the Karen haircut, apparently.
My hair is fine, girl.
I'll own it. I'll take a Karen, because to me it's a compliment. At least they're not calling me Ken, whatever. I'll take Karen. Karen's the feminine side of Ken. So yeah, so to be locked in as an LGBT member for life, like, I'm happy to see that you do recognize that people can step away from that, and like I said, the millennials, they accept it, they sympathize. Some of them are like, "No, you're legit, you're all the way, like, you're trans, I know it, I can see it the way you are." But the Gen Zs, they won't go for it. I don't know. It's the late transition thing for most people. That's hard for them to understand. And it was hard for me to look at, a straight woman, 23 years of her life, and then all of a sudden she's a lesbian. I'm like, But I started to learn, yes, that is a thing. It can happen, And although I was right on a few of them, I told my lesbian friends, I was like, "She's not gay. You better get away from her. She's gonna hurt you." And sure enough, went back to being straight or bisexual, and devastated my lesbian friends that were straight up lesbian, hardcore tomboys. Even that's why they hung out with me so much. Butch haircuts, playing softball, all the stereotypes you can think of that lesbians do. That's what they were into. So I just, I grew up around that.
Hey Jessica, we have come to like the end of this chit chat, and it has been lovely. It truly has been lovely, and talking about women's sports and all that, I hope that you would. I'm sure you know Caitlyn Jenna and all that. Have you met her? Have you met Caitlyn Jenna? I think she holds the same stance as you. She's for women's right in terms of women's sports. Am I right?
Yes, she is a protector for women's rights in sports. She wasn't always. She didn't start out that way. She kind of learned, oh, hey, this isn't right. So when she first transitioned, it it wasn't a big deal to her. It wasn't on her radar. Maybe I should say it like that. And yes, I talked with Riley before they met, because Riley and Caitlyn have done a show together, I think, or a dinner maybe once, something like that. I've never had personal communications with Caitlyn. I do know that she is still active in the sports community with golf and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, as trans, I had transitioned before Caitlyn came out. I actually resented her a little bit, much like some of these trending trans people that get everything paid for. And, I'm like, I paid for almost all this out of pocket, like everything I've done, surgeries, hormones, doctor's bills, psychiatrist bills for 2 years. I paid for it all, so yeah, it's a little bit of jealousy on my part. I don't have that kind of money that she had to, straight up pay for everything in one shot. Go, gone. Now I'm trans, wouldn't that have been great? So yeah, the sports thing, I will not quit. I'm always there if anybody needs anything like support out of school. Get in touch with me. I will call Icons for Women, Independent Women's Forum. I'm a member of both of those. I'm friends with Riley Gaines. I will call in the cavalry. We will get your school lined up. So that's what
You're amazing. Jessica, you're amazing. Keep it up. Keep up the good, amazing work that you are doing for women. They need you. They need someone like you. Yeah. So with that said, Jessica Gill, thank you so much for being on Chit Chat with Transgender Pastor. Much love from Malaysia. I hope that you'll visit our country someday, or me visiting you. The only state I've been in US is the Hawaii. That's all. But I hope to visit other parts of the USA too. Yeah, love you, Jessica Gill. Let's stay in touch. God bless. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Jessica. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care of you.